Hey everybody, it's B here, and we are coming at you with a red, yellow baby deck profile. What? This is actually the deck I ended up taking to the regional that happened over this past weekend. It was a ton of fun. The deck performed okay. It went 3-3, but I think a couple of modifications, which I'm actually going to show in this version of the deck profile versus what I had played, would have definitely helped and potentially given me a few additional wins. So while I don't think the deck is meta defining, I barely count it as rogue for what it's worth. I think it's a lot of fun, and at a level where it's locals and best of ones, I think it can have a certain degree of success, which makes it a really fun deck to pick up again, given that it was such a powerful deck on release. But before we get started, guys, if you want to pick up any of the cards I talk about in today's video, I have to point you guys over to 3 Mana Inc., the best place in Canada to get your DBS singles and sealed product guaranteed. And hey, I pilot decks like these all the time. Saturday was this deck, Sunday was Shenron Ramp. So if you guys want to watch me just pilot a bunch of fun decks, that's been my mood lately. Link to the Twitch is down below. Oh, also, we're doing a giveaway. If you want a chance at getting a Spirit Boost box, play mats, premium packs, so much to give. I'm doing a giveaway as a thank you to getting me to 3K subs. So the link to that will be down in the description, or the little eye that'll pop up, I don't know, sometime between when I did this the first time and now, I guess. But with that said, let's just jump right into the deck. So first off, here's the whole deck, guys. You want it here. If this is all you came for, the link will be down in the description to the DBS Deck Planet version of this. Here's the deck. If that's all you want, well, there you go. But if we go by the card by card, of course, we have to start with the leader, and we have Baby Vegeta. Activate main once per turn. You get to choose 1 year life, add it to your hand, and then he restands. So no attack on draw, but he draws from life. So it's not as good as other leaders that have been able to do this in the past, but it does allow him to restand, which gives him dual attack, which combos really well with his backside that just has dual attack. And then once per turn when this card attacks, you get to draw 1 card. So you don't get draws on both of your swings, unfortunately, but that would be a little bit too busted considering how quickly this deck can get hand advantage. But if you save your awakening, you can swing, take a life, then awaken, and then swing. So you're basically a triple attack on your awaken turn, which is super sick. The awaken, however, is interesting because you awaken at 2 life, but you do untap 2 and draw 2. This used to be way better when we used to be able to play Pan, Great Ape Whisper, and stuff, but as I was building this deck and I was taking cards out from my previous build from like set 8, I was like, oh yeah, all this stuff has to go. Which is really sad. That hurt the deck a lot. But either way, it was definitely a change needed because I think the deck would actually be really, really good if it still had access to the pans. Nevertheless, basically a triple attacking leader that awakens at 2. We don't mind that because taking life is kind of what this deck wants to do. Specifically when we're talking about the chain, and what kicks us off is Dr. Mew the Mastermind. If we have a red-yellow charge on turn 1, doesn't matter if it's energy exhausted, we will be able to play him out for free, which is sick, which he allows us to get our Baby Evil Origins, which is a graceful charity if you come from Yu-Gi-Oh! He comes in and we're going to be able to draw 3 and discard 2, which allows us to filter our hand really well, especially since we're a combo deck. We really need a lot of pieces in hand to make this deck work. This helps us get there and gets rid of the cards that won't allow us to win for the game. The benefit also is that you get these 2 out on turn 1 for free, and they are a red and a yellow, which sets us perfectly to be able to arrival into the 4-drop Super Baby 1 All-Consuming Terror. So he has a bunch of other techs. He's a 15k barrier. That's the most important thing that we care about. A 4-drop baby that has barrier. That's the most important thing for us. However, he does have additional techs that Union Absorbs. That goes with the other baby archetype that works with brainwash stuff. That's not specific to the way we play. Having a 4-drop baby on board means that we're able to go into Super Baby 1, Parasitic Menace. This is the promo card that came into power-up packs, I believe, where you get the EX Evolve on top for free, and you can't EX Evolve for the rest of the turn. You get to draw a card, and you get some minus 5k. So it cleans up the board a little bit. It's a 25k double striker, which is relevant. Sometimes you do just need the big, beefy double striking body to be able to do some stuff. And you guys can activate main for 1, where you get to choose 1 baby card which costs a 6 from your hand and play it on top of this card. So this really only works with the red baby, which we do run a couple of, but specifically we just need this to be a 5-drop body. And all of these we play as a 4 of. The first 2 for hand consistency and be able to set up our arrival, and the other 2 because we need the pieces to find. So generally the way your turn plays out is you play these on turn 1, you charge on turn 2, you pass your opponent. Depending on like if your opponent can get rid of it on their turn better than they can on your turn, you might just arrival the Super Baby 1 on your own turn. But typically the way I do it is on turn 1, you set this up, on turn 2 you charge and you pass, and then you go into Super Baby 1 when they're attacking you, allowing you to preserve your life. Because while you do want to be aggressive and have card advantage, having more life benefits you way more in the long run than it does your opponent. So once we're on Super Baby 5 on our turn 3, we go into Great Ape Baby, the ultimate life form. EX evolves for 1 red and 1 yellow on a baby that costs 5. It is a double striker. It has offering, which means it comes in, your opponent either crits a life or you draw 2. And it is 30k, activate main. You get to choose 1 life added to your hand, and your opponent's leader gets minus 5k for the turn. And this sticks, which means you could do this. It's not once per turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then many times as you do it, you'll be able to neg your opponents down. So on awakened leaders, that means you can turn them into 0 cost. It means you can turn them into minus 5 cost. So you can line this up where every single attack from your deck is lethal, including the 1-drop Dr. Mew and Baby, which means these are not only hand cleaners, they allow us to dig into our deck and up our consistency, but also they're just free attacks. At this point, they are able to threaten lethal, which means if your opponent doesn't have any way to answer, whether they tapped out on turn 2 or anything like that, these cards can actually force your opponent to combo out, which is really sick, and really is one of my favorite things about this deck. It effectively turns anything in your deck into a finisher potentially if your opponent is low enough. And that's generally the chain. The Great Ape Baby we run as a 3 of because it's also searchable, which a couple of extra cards we run in the next slide over. But generally, we want to see these as much as possible, so we're really trying to up our consistency. On to the extenders, we have Baby Janemba, Hatred, Evil Personified, the Championship Pack card, 2 cost, Baby 16k, which 16k is nice. It's a really annoying thing. Energy Exhaust unique. When you play a red, yellow baby, multicolor baby card, you get to play this card from your hand. When it comes in, you look at the top 7. You can grab up to 2 cards with offering. If you grab 2, you pitch 1. If you grab 1, that's fine. It just replaces itself. Pretty dope. It allows us to find our 7-drop, which is why we can afford to play 3 because it can get a little clunky. It also allows us to find Heartfelt Plea, which is awesome. You can find the secret rare also if you play that, but we don't play that secret rare in the deck. And we run 4 of these because the free play is amazing. The turn 1 charge while still being able to find another one is also pretty sweet. I only had 2 when I played this past Saturday, but if I had 4, I guarantee you that I would run all 4, just because 1, the free body is amazing, and second of all, because it just bumps our consistency. So we've a full play set of that. Super Baby 1, the Conqueror. I was only able to fit 2 in the deck, but effectively it's just a free play. We're a dumb aggro deck that wants to attack our opponent as much as possible, but we swarm. We go wide because we can afford to, because every single card we play is able to punch our opponent in for so much damage. So this is one where if our opponent takes 2 damage this turn, we can play it off for free. He's a 15k. He has unique, but that's fine. Doesn't really matter. Just being able to push out additional damage is awesome. And then we have Heartfelt Plea. Once we go into our plays, sometimes you might not be able to swing with the 30k baby because you know it's going to get removed. So you just go into the Heartfelt Plea because you want to be able to at least get and be able to play him out. He's a little bit better in this deck too because we actually can search him with the Baby Janemba because he has offering, which allows us to really, it's not hyper consistent. It's still just a 1 of in the deck, but it's definitely good enough that we're going to be able to see it more so than other decks, which is awesome. Otherwise, just a really strong card. Offering, it extends our play. We can swing with the 7-drop ape, and then we can awaken with our leader, and then swing with this, and it just puts an absurd amount of pressure on our opponent. Finally, we have Apocalypse Grudge, Great Ape Baby. We run this as a pair, just to be able to extend. Gives us more options. It's another baby to go into. It's not great, but it works against some decks. Some decks don't really deal with this card super well. It's not as good as it used to be, and it's probably one of my least favorite cards in the deck. But given that we do play another extender that we're going to see later on in the Union Fusion Baby, it gives us something. When it attacks or when our opponent plays a card, we get to draw a card, and then some gets minus 20k. It cleans up board a little bit. It's a 30k triple striker, and it's a 4 evo on any baby. So let's say you end up on turn 4 and you really don't have much to do and you just have the 1-drop baby on board. You can technically evolve into this, which is kind of cute. I mean, hey, why not, right? So we do run it as a pair. The cheap play, we want additional cheap plays because, like I said, we want to go wide. We want to get as many bodies on board to be able to take advantage of the fact that our opponent is at 0, minus 15, something like that. So last minute inclusion was a pair of Beerus Unceasing Rage, and it lines up really well with how this deck plays out. On turn 2, you end up typically doing your arrival for 1 baby, but you're not doing much, right? Typically that only costs you 1 energy, and it does often feel like you're missing out on being able to do more with your energy on turn 2, and this deck wants to be as energy efficient as possible. Beerus was a great inclusion because it's an arrival for 1 red. When it comes in, you give 2 of your opponent's battle cards that are in rest mode minus 10k, so it cleans up board a little bit, as well as you draw a card. And then activate main. For 3, you get to choose all your opponent's battle cards. They get minus 20k that are in rest mode, and then he gets 5k and triple strike, ending up as an additional finisher if you really need it. So I think this card is awesome. It was super cool. It lines up really well. It means that our board extends extend so much more. It's a 1 energy 20k, which is what we really want to see in this kind of deck. So on turn 2, we can arrival the baby, which arrivals the Janemba baby, which then we can arrival the Beerus. So all of that makes our turn 2 incredibly more explosive, which is why I really like this version of the deck, because of that, having this card included. Then, of course, we were fighting against fate. We run a pair of those as well. A pair because we want to see it, and then our 1-drop baby allows us a Graceful Charity and get rid of the additional one if we don't need it. It isn't stupidly easy for this deck to get Overwhelm 6. Just on turn 1, you've already dumped 2 cards into your drop. When you arrival, you've dumped another 2, so then you just need to combo 2, and that happened on turn 2. So honestly, incredibly easy for us to be able to get into fighting against fate. And then Supreme Kite of Time is our SCR of choice, a 1-cost 40k. That's the biggest thing, honestly. Defensively, it just does actually kind of help that it prevents our opponent from attacking us with their unison and whatever. But generally, I play this on my turn because the way the plays line up, when you've awakened, you have your monkey on board, you have a bunch of like 4 or 5 bodies, and you have 3 energy. You actually have quite a lot of energy to be able to do things with, because now your combo's done, but you have so much energy to be able to extend your play. So we want to be able to do as many things, as many high impact things with that energy as we can. So Supreme Kite of Time is just a great choice. On turn 3, bloop, pop her out, and then we go and attack our opponent for 40k. We have to protect the combo. We are a very frail combo deck. So we are an aggressive deck, but we are an aggressive combo deck. You play this deck way more like a combo, and things like Topo really shut us down. So Tyrannical Blow is a great way to ensure that if they do try to get us with a Floodgate battle card, that we can prevent it from happening. I wasn't running this card on Saturday, and I think I lost 2 games because of a well-timed Topo. If it wasn't for that, if we could Tyrannical Blow the Topo, I think we would have had a way bigger game and a much better time at it too. Strategy Universe 7, we run this as a 1 of. I did have this as a 2 of, but I felt like it got a little bit clunky. So 1 of, just to see it. It protects our combo, protects our big ape, it protects our heartfelt plea. It doesn't protect too much because it only protects red Saiyans, and a lot of our cards actually end up being yellow as well, or just not being a Saiyan at all. So it's not too bad, but it does help in being able to protect our big bodies if we end up seeing it when we go for the kill. We have Swift Retaliation Cooler, again, responds to our opponent's counterplays. If the game goes later than turn 3, this is a great way to be able to ensure that your whiteboard can start punching in, even if you weren't able to kill. And then finally, Baby Vengeful Blow is our catch-up mechanic. If our opponent does deal with our ape before we can go into Heartfelt Plea or something else, we can play this from our hand for free, and then Union Fusion with the pieces that just died to be able to go into another 30k in our hand, which is very helpful. And if not, use a 20k beat stick on his own right. So making sure we have another body to be able to punch into our opponent also helps. The odds and ends of the deck, the little things that we have to add up some consistency, or things that just every deck includes. We do run 3 Bloodwave generators. If we find a baby within the top 5 cards of our deck, it restands a yellow energy. So, you know, we really like to see that. Ups the consistency. At 4 of, it can get a little clunky. At 3, you see it when you need to see it, and it helps us find our pieces. The 5-drop, I think, is usually the hardest part of the deck. The 4 and 5-drop can be definitely the hardest part of the deck to find. So Bloodwave generator just makes sure that we're able to get there. Hidden Power E Supreme Kai just happens to be the one of my choice. This is the one I have in foil. You could run, you know, Champa. That's fine as well. We just run as a 1-of. The double strike can definitely get there, and it turns any of your threats into something that's able to kill your opponent at 2 life. So very easy there. And getting your opponent at 2 life is no issue for this deck whatsoever. Then we run 2 Whis Celestial Moderators as our super combo. We run 2 of this. I don't think I have it on the slides, but we also run 2 of the Jocos. You can't always guarantee a full yellow charge, which is why I don't run the Krillin. Sometimes you're just stuck charging red, and it is what it is, which is why I can't rely on that one. Whis does double duty in that one. It allows us to arrival in case we don't actually have the cards on board because our opponent dealt with it. Additionally, it also serves as basically being a 20k combo if our opponent is attacking with a battle card, which is like a great defensive swing, since this deck isn't really all that defensive, aside from just having more cards than our opponent. And then we run 2 Flying Nimbuses. There are number of ways that I've played out in turns where I generally have 1 energy restanding, so I just lean on Flying Nimbus and then preventing my opponent from trying to attack too many times with battle cards on the crack back, and then just defending with my hand advantage from there. But with that said, guys, that was the deck. Like I said, I think the only thing I haven't talked about was the fact that I did run the 2 Jocos. So, hey, I ran 2 Jocos because it's the super combo that works the best with the deck, outside of, you know, anything that I could include that isn't always turned on. But this deck is super fun. Again, if you guys want the deck, it's in DBS Deck Plan. If you just want to copy it, link will be down in the description. But I had so much fun with this deck. I wouldn't take this into a best of 3, guys. It is super frail. It is super answerable. But in a best of 1 world where, especially with Tyrannical Blows, like I really wish I had these on Saturday, where you can actually answer the little few floodgates that your opponent might be playing. playing, I think can really line up this deck to be a great time. I highly recommend you guys watch the VODs if you want to see how the combo plays out. I was able to get full combo on 2 to 3 opponents, which was super sick. So definitely go check that out, guys. It was a ton of fun. But that's the deck. In terms of exclusions, I thought about the Whis check lands, but turns out you don't need them. You're really just fine with charging like a single red or yellow on turn 2, 3 once you have your first multicolor to get out of your baby. It is nice. It does let you be more flexible, but the deck space is so tight already with how many cards you're trying to include that I didn't think it was really all that necessary in the finalized version of the deck. Besides that, you could technically go up to a 4th Bloodwave Cannon to up the consistency even more. I will say some games was really a struggle to find the 4 and 5 drop, like I said before, so there's that to consider. But generally, it just depends how low to the ground. You can get rid of all the defensive cards. You can get rid of Nimbus, you can get rid of Strategies of Universe, and just be like, yo, if my opponent has it, he has it, and otherwise just go brr. That is definitely a route that you can go. But with that said, guys, that was Red Yellow Baby, a deck that is very near and dear to my heart. I absolutely loved it on release, and I told myself, hey, why not? No one's expecting hyper aggressive decks in the format anymore. They're leaning more towards mid-range stuff, so let's see if we can sneak in there and get there. And I think this deck did a phenomenal job at doing what it was supposed to. It didn't win, didn't even get it close to winning, but I thought it was a great time. I thought it was a really fun deck, and I definitely recommend you guys to try it out if you guys have want to spin it out at locals. With that said, guys, of course, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. If you watch more videos, guys, again, giveaway, go check that out. Subscribe button's in the corner. That's how I'll check you guys on this one. Ciao.